Teaching me, no. Teaching is like a quicksand. Once you start doing it and you really have a passion and you love kids, you cannot leave it. It is so intoxicating, I would say. Teaching is a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. It makes you stay young. I was called Pinocchio ma'am because in every class I'll go, I'll say, if you tell me a lie, my nose is going to grow. I would request children that you must dream. Dreams out of the ordinary, something crazy. As per research, 100% people dream, 50% people set goals, 3% people write down their goals, 1% people have an action plan, and only 1% people succeed in life.
So myself, Gaurav Garg, and we welcome all our viewers to our show, Amazing Mentor. Today with us is Miss Shalini Nambiar. She is founder of SN Educational Consultants, coming from a diverse background of airlines and then plunging herself wholeheartedly into education for the simple reason that she had that burning desire to be able to make a difference in someone's life. Her comprehensive knowledge of running a school has helped her in building quality institutes. She possesses a strong leadership quality and strongly believes that aim of education should be man making. It's a pleasure to welcome Ms. Shalini to our show. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So tell us about your childhood and hobbies you enjoyed as a child.
So childhood has been very interesting. I was born and brought up in Dehradun, and Dehradun is a hub of schools and colleges. And my childhood was there. I belonged to a middle class family. My dad was an engineer, my mom a homemaker, and but I think what the values they instilled was self confidence and trying to make a difference in people's lives. That is what I have learned in my childhood. And schooling was very interesting. I think I really always say, that we talk about today about critical thinking skills, problem solving, all those 21st century skills. But I think in the schools which I attended, I will definitely not tell you which year, you will come to know my age. But it's very important that these things existed there in a much larger way, maybe not having these kind of terminology, but I think institute, the school and the home were totally distinct. So school did its job of teaching you academics, giving you confidence, teaching you life skills. And when you came home, the home environment was such that you were made to do everything yourself and nobody questioned you. I don't remember my mother ever asking me, what's your homework? What test you have, how many marks you got. All they said is, beta kuch life mein acha kar lena bas. So it was a very different and fun environment. We grew up, we fell, we rose. I mean, that's the way I think my childhood has been. It led to in me a burning desire to do something because that's what was ignited by my parents and school, that you have to make a difference. And I always strongly believed right from childhood that I don't want to be an average person. I mean, I think the middle line I never wanted to be, and that has been always in me, the desire. And I believe it is all about not making money, not having a huge house. It's all about making a difference in people's lives. How are you impacting? What would you like to be written on your epitaph? How would you want people to remember you? So I think those are the things which I have grown up with. I mean, the value system was very strong at home. So yeah, that's been my journey.
So were you an introvert or extrovert child?
I was an extrovert. I thought I'm going to be a very famous singer because I loved music. And when you're a child, your career choices keep changing at every stage, depending on the kind of people you meet and how they impact you. But I always wanted to be a singer, and I think probably I could not. And that's why today my daughter is a famous singer. So I'm happy, somewhere the genes have gone down. Although I started my journey as a music teacher, with no B.Ed, nothing at all. So all I knew was to sing with kids and to play with kids.
So as an extrovert child, would you like to share any naughtiest memory of your childhood?
I was a very outstanding child, always standing outside. We used to jump gates and we had a very strict principal. And I remember in grade 11, we all decided, let's go and see a movie. So during school hours, I still remember from the back gate, we all jumped. And my skirt got caught in those iron fences of the thing. And of course, we were caught. And the principal had a very strange kind of way of punishing us. There was a lot of difference yesterday's education and today. Our schools were allowed to give you the danda, treat you the way they are, because they really meant good about you. It was not because your parents came and complained, so they turned against you, which is the scenario now. So the principal used to give us the quinine tablets, Murga bana diya grade 11th May. I've been a very naughty child, and I always believe, when I became a school head, I used to tell my teachers, if you haven't done anything naughty in your life, you can never be a good leader, because you will not know, you will never understand the children, why they are doing what they are doing. So I have had a lot of fun. Everything.
So as you told that your childhood memory was to become a singer. So what else memory do you remember that, okay, I would be this, I need to join this particular profession when I grow up?
When you're going to that middle school phase, that is the time teachers have a lot of impact on you. And I still remember, I would make because that time they were all, families were huge. So I would make all my cousins sit down, and we used to use the back of my room, the door as a blackboard, and start writing on that. But I never dreamt of becoming a teacher. I mean, I used to run away. Teaching me, no. That was it. The teaching is like a quicksand. Once you start doing it and you really have a passion and you love kids, you cannot leave it. It is so intoxicating, I would say.
So where did you started your career journey from?
When I was in third year, I was in LSR hostel. So you know how we were. First year, very simple girl. Second year, we were bold and wild and all that. And third year, I didn't want to study further. I mean, I finished my eco honors, which also, my dad decided, no, you must do this. He was very keen I should go in for banking services or become an IAS. Those were the career choices at that time. And I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to travel, and belonging to a middle class family, I knew we can't travel. That time flying by air, even from Delhi to Dehradun, would be like, you can't dream of. So I got into airlines and joined them as a ground level. And I started my journey with the travel agency. And then I still remember my first trip to Bangkok, Amsterdam. And that was my dream. I wanted to travel. I still have. I still have my bucket list of places I want to travel. So I got into traveling. My dad was a kind who always believed that he should encourage us. Do whatever you want to do. But remember, if you do something wrong, it's going to impact your life, not my life. So I started into that, and then I got married. Then I had my daughter. When you have your kids, then you start searching for schools in Delhi. Okay. And in Delhi, that time, getting admission was like a Herculean task. So you're standing in a line from 4 o'clock in the morning. You become friends with each other. The same parents visiting 10 different schools. And that was the time when the interview process was so funny. It was. I've also written it on my blog, My Trauma as a Parent. So when I went around, I found the principals very strict. And I started wondering, my child, my money, and I am being questioned. That's not right. I should be questioning the principal. And they were so scary that you're trembling in their room. So I've always been a crazy person, as I told you. So I decided I have to do something. So the best way to change a system is to get into it. You can't change it from outside. So I decided to join education as a teacher. And that time, GD Goenka was opening. It was the first air-conditioned school of, I think, India. And it was just across my house. And I said, wow, AC school. That was what attracted me. So I went there and I said, I want to join in. And I still remember my interview. They said, your form is empty, no BEd, nothing. What do you want to do? I said, no, I can sing, I can dance, I can have a lot of fun with children. And that's how my journey started, in 1994 as a teacher. One of the first teachers in GD Goenka was Sankunt, so that has been an excellent journey from then.
So what all challenges you faced in the starting of your journey?
I believe challenges are always there to make you grow further. It is your perception. If you're not happy with yourself, you're going to look at a challenge as a problem. If you're a happy and a content person, you're going to look at challenge as an opportunity. So it is your perception in life, how you deal with it. I will not say I've not had challenges. There are always challenges. There are always lows. You go down. But I think what is important is I've looked at it as an opportunity. Like I'll tell you a very small incident. So what happens generally in school, when a teacher is on leave, there is something called substitution. And you can ask any teacher, everybody hates doing those substitution. But I looked at it as an opportunity because I got a chance to be interacting with a large number of school kids. I became very popular because of that. So you can ask the first group, they'll know me, who I am. So I looked at it as a chance to interact with the kids, to further my, passion. I don't think so. Teaching is something which I think, you need to be. They say you have to have a passion. Everybody says I'm passionate, and the passion goes out of the window after 2 months. But you need to be really loving the kids. You need to have that burning desire. I want to make a difference in the life of a child. I don't think so. I've ever harmed any child. I've ever lost my cool. I've been a crazy teacher. I've been a super crazy principal. Teachers generally in a school would say that, okay, if you do mistake, we'll take you to the principal's room. In my school, wherever I've headed, I think children would look at the teacher, take us, because they will get a coffee, will get a royal treatment. I believe teaching is a lot of fun, lot of excitement. It makes you stay young. You know all the latest things happening around. If I'm very familiar with social media, it's because I'm a teacher. I know what is happening around. I will not say I never faced. Those challenges are not challenges, the usual, which are part of your life. But I think you have to see how far you can go, which is more important to me, as an individual.
So do you have any mentor in life?
So you always have mentors, right? There are different kind of people who impact you differently. Some are bad, some are good, but everybody has some impact on you some way or the other. I will not name one person or two persons. I think it's a bunch of people who have had an impact on where I am today. It starts from your family. It starts from your husband. If he doesn't support you, you can't do. If you don't have a mentor at where you're working, you will not be able to grow. But I think what is important to understand is how you utilize what you're learning at each stage from each person. And how do you adapt it to your personal style and take it forward. I think my biggest mentor would be my dad. He was a cool, crazy guy who always believed that, do make a difference, make a difference. That was his only thing, in life. And I think that is what pushed me. He never told me what you should do. He was just like what we call today a facilitator, guiding me at each step, but not interfering. I was left to choose my own path, decide my own journey in life, whether it was marriage, whether it was having kids. I don't remember my dad ever telling me, you can't get married here or you can't do this. He was a very, very chilled out person and I really miss him.
So as you transform schools to a happy place, so what's the thought behind this statement?
I believe education today has become very monotonous in schools. I believe teachers are not very highly energized. And when you are not highly energized, you cannot pass out those positive vibes to the children. So you turn out, it's become like a factory. You turn out children, large number of kids. But how many of the kids are successful? How many are creative? How many can handle failure? So what is very important to understand is that when you talk about, is school a happy place? Why do I go to school? I go to school because I want to grow. I want to be happy. So I think it is extremely important that all the stakeholders, whether it is management, whether it is teachers, whether it is parents, whether it is students, or even the support staff, like I had a habit, you can ask anybody and I'm saying it. As a school head, I'll be the first one to reach the school and the last one to leave the school. And I believed in hugging everybody who I met. Now, of course, you can't hug because of the COVID, but I believed in, being there, good morning to every teacher, and not in my room, being outside at the main gate, welcoming children as they come in, because that gives you an opportunity to connect with each and every person who's a part of your school environment. So I think that's very important.
So how was your first day as a teacher?
I think I went in and I sang, and I still remember. Those children are all grown up now. They have got kids and they also remember how I used to run around them. I was called Pinocchio ma'am because in every class I'll say, if you tell me a lie, my nose is going to grow. So that was the name given to me. But after that, I think nobody ever gave me a name because I was so friendly with the kids or with the staff. And I used to ask people, yaar, kuch to naam de do mujhe. Sabke naam rakhte ho. But I never had any name. I always believed in reaching out, connecting with the children. So I don't think so. My first day was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So you have vast experience of 25 great years. So how is your journey till date?
Very exciting. very, very exciting. And I think I have grown with each organization. My perspective of life has changed. I've become a more content person. And I think I've really made a difference wherever I have been, whether it was GEMS or whether it was American School or whether it was Heritage. I tried to make a difference. My main forte has been building a strong team, which is happy, energized, and ready to take the world with a storm, because I think a good leader needs to build a strong team, and not only strong, but a happy team. So that's what I've believed in, and my journey has been really good. God has been very kind. You do face a lot of challenges. I do plan to write a book, maybe 10 years hence, where I would like to put those small incidents which, make you cry, because there are days. See, when you take up a leadership position, it's a very lonely seat. You cannot be friendly with the staff, so you have to maintain that distance. And everybody comes to your shoulder to cry, but nobody asks you, how are you feeling? So it's been a wonderful journey. I have no regrets. I've been naughty. I've done all the worst things in my life, everything I've done. That's what I used to tell teachers, that you need to be, opening yourself. You've not gone out in college and, bunked college or bunked school. You've not enjoyed life. And what happens when you are around 60, 70, 80, you turn up because, you become such a strict person because you're not understanding the kids. I mean, it's a very normal thing in school. Now earlier it was grade 11. Now it is 5th, 6th, when the mutual attraction starts. Now you have to treat it in a very positive manner rather than making it a staff room gossip. And you gossip because you haven't gone through that kind of a thing yourself. So you don't realize, you think it's wrong. Your child is on Facebook, oh, it's wrong. No, it is not wrong. You need to tell him what is right and what is wrong, and give him the power to make his own decision. Trust the child. We don't trust. In our school system, we neither trust the teachers, nor we trust the students, nor we trust the parents. See, in one of the schools, we had a system, and it was very nice, beautiful, that a child will not take permission when he wants to go to the washroom. It's a nature's call. So now the teachers came up to me, ma'am, grade 11 kids or 12 kids, they will never come back. I said, can you trust them? They will come back. Out of, let's say, 40 kids, maybe 5% will take an advantage. But once you start building and telling them that, listen, guys, I trust you, they will not harm you. They will come back. So you have to make sure that why are the children wanting to leave your class? You have to reflect. It's not the child who's at fault. It's your class is boring. You are less engaging. You are less motivating. Like I remember in one of the schools, I created a board. There was a lot of protest by the teachers because they didn't want me to put that board. So I said, we'll make it my board, and where children it was put on the senior school corridor, where children can just come and write everything they wanted to. And I knew the reason for that was because this was a little traditional school, and I wanted the children to open up and speak about their inner thoughts or what is called. No, ma'am, they will write, I hate this teacher, that teacher. I said, how does it matter? It'll make you realize that they don't like you, so you need to work towards it because you want to be a teacher, right? So it was a big Herculean task for me that I managed to convince. And of course, the first day the board was full. I hate this teacher, I hate that teacher. And we said it'll be anonymous. You're not going to write your name. And what was amazing, one slip which I found there, that is what my intention was. I cried after that, and the teachers realized the deep meaning of my doing that. That kid wrote, I am a lesbian and nobody understands me, And I felt so happy that the child has been, half our problems are solved when somebody can listen to us. And schools must understand they are not just to provide academics. Academics तो coaching institute भी करा देगा. आप maths का tutor ले लो, आप पढ़ जाओगे, you'll get 100. Schools are supposed to give you a complete life skill, teach you honesty, teach you hard work, ethics, companionship, how to deal with failures. Are we teaching that? And I've always questioned, why do we showcase, so-and-so got 90%, so-and-so got selected in IIT? Why don't we put all the children's picture of grade 12 who pass out of a school and write underneath each child's name, excelled in hard work, excelled in dedication, excelled in empathy. Every child is talented. provided we have eyes and ears to look at it. My punchline is we make happy schools. Schools need to be happy places. You create a corner in your school where children are allowed to, go and speak, go and scream. So it's a good way of taking out their frustration. Imagine, there's so many times we as adults want to cry, right? And we can't cry because people are around you. And we go in the washroom and we cry. The same with children, allow them to express themselves. And that is what I always say. Schools are supposed to teach reading, writing, listening, speaking, right? We teach reading and writing. We are perfect in it. Are we teaching them how to listen? Are we teaching them how to speak? When a child speaks a question, we say, shut up, keep quiet, you're disturbing. So that's not the way our mindset has to change. We keep talking so many webinars, so many this, that. Are we really doing it? I don't think so. There may be 10% schools which are following this and doing it. I will not say nobody is doing it. A lot of schools which are coming up. But go into a simple town B school and talk to a child of grade 5. I did a session last year when we could travel, when we had the luxury, in those old times, I call it. So I was doing these sessions for college students. And I went to suburbs of Karnal and these through some people to address college students. And I put that video on Facebook. And I was teaching these children how to dream and set goals in their life. What is a kind of career? You know what? It was so sad. They all said कि हमें graduation करना है क्योंकि graduate की value है हमारे town में. मैंने कहा आपकी dream क्या है? Dream तो है उनकी. मैंने कहा कैसे बनोगे आप वो बताइए. They have no idea. Are we talking only about the 10% of the city students? When we are talking on LinkedIn, Facebook, has anybody gone out and reached those thousands and thousands of college students who have no dream, no desire, nothing? All they know is graduation pass करना है. Imagine a 20-year-old kid told me, मेरी मम्मी ने मना करा है कि Facebook पे नहीं जाना. मैडम मेरे पास स्मार्टफोन भी नहीं है. मेरे को तो पता ही नहीं है सोशल मीडिया पे क्या होता है. I mean, that is the reality of our country. And we need to really look into it and reach out to those kind of children and help them. They also have goals. 1 in a million kid comes out, but everybody is not lucky. So we need to go full-fledged. So as a school, what we need to do is to teach them life skills. Very important. Everybody is not going to be 100%. Everybody is not going to get 99% and come out with flying colors. Try and reach out. And what happens in schools, the brighter kids and the low average kids are given a lot of attention because the teachers want the below average kids to improve. But what about the average kids? वो बेचारे सारा साल सारी जिंदगी भर average ही रहते. And that is the line which I feel needs to be removed. We need to make an effort to bring them up because that is a major chunk of our population. People who are just average. गाड़ी है, घर है, सब कुछ है. अरे और कुछ नहीं करना आपको जिंदगी में क्या? So that's what I feel. I mean, there's only one life. And it's how you live. Everybody lives, but how do you make a difference? I mean, it's not about just writing on social media. You need to actually go out there and make a difference, enable people. And I think that's what true education is all about.
So any particular moment you would like to share, worst and best?
I think my first award, it was a very precious moment for me because that was what I think I would have wanted my both parents to be there, but they both were not there. They were gone long before that. And that was I think it was in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, and it was in Thailand, by the Thailand government. They had some kind of we had to go through 3 processes, send some articles, then interview and all that. That was a very big moment for me. I still remember. And the worst moment was I've always believed that I am a team player. I'm able to resolve all my team members' problems and solve. But there was one incident which I just could not resolve. I sat with those people for 4 days. I could not. And it really frustrated me. And it's still on my mind because I tell people that there are 10% people in this world you cannot change. But sometimes you feel so helpless that why you were not able to make a difference there. That was one incident which is still hanging in my head, why I couldn't resolve it.
So from the starting of your career life, you have been into teaching profession. So what motivates you to choose your career path as a teacher?
I think the biggest motivator are the children, because they give you so much energy. And that is why and I want my advice to the younger people is when you say you want to be a teacher, it's not a 8 to 2 job. It is a 24/7 job because you can actually harm a child's life or you can make a difference in his life. And you have to question yourself, So I think my energy comes from the children, because they give you so much. And I have never, never, ever scolded a child in my life. I might have got angry, but then even if I was a school head, I would go and tell and apologize to the child in front of everybody. I said, I'm really sorry because I have no right to shout at you. It's wrong on my part. So I have always believed that they have given me a lot of energy. And when you're able to make a difference, the biggest aha, teaching is a very private profession. When the children speak their first letter, the first aha moment, it's only you and the kids, there is nobody else there. So I think the biggest energy which has given me and the desire to continue is the children. That I have been able to make a difference in children's lives. And after that, the teachers, they're very young and innocent. Everybody talks about the poor quality of teacher. I don't think so. Teachers are all same. It is about how you train them, how you empower them, how you trust them. So I have believed in that, and I have had teachers who really as per the world, will be here. I've raised them to this level, and they're doing very well in their life. So I think that has been my biggest aha moment for me. Making a difference in people's lives is my lifelong mantra of life. How I can impact somebody, how I can help somebody. And there are times when I haven't been able to help myself, I have helped people, So one has to be very open-minded and a happy person. And I think things fall into place on their own.
So, as a founder of SN Educational Consultants, what's the mission and vision behind the organization?
The mission is to reach out to make a difference in a child's life, whether it's a school, whether it's an organization, whether it's a college, whether it's a parent. I've done a lot of parenting sessions also because some parenting doesn't come with a handbook. We're all like first-time parents and we struggle. So it's not about teaching them how to parent, but it is giving them small anecdotes and incidents from my personal life which can help. So that has been my mission, and that is what I want to do. My dream is to have a big opening ceremony with my company's logo. So I want to take it to places. I have a big desire, but sometimes you get like little low when you feel nothing is happening because COVID really hit it. But I think you have to continue pursuing it and continue with what is your ultimate goal in life. You may reach, you may not reach, but you have to enjoy the journey. And I think that is what my aim is in life.
So, what are the stark differences between the employee mindset and an entrepreneur mindset? You have gone through both the journeys.
I would say I'm still the same. If a person comes to me, what I will look at the person is he or she has the ability to learn, to grow, has a desire, because the rest of the things you can train them. Yeah. But if a person doesn't have the desire, then you can't make any difference in that individual. So what I look at is I like team players. I like people who I can empower and who I can trust them. Okay, I've given you the task, you do it. I think as an entrepreneur, I believe you need to hire the best. Although I don't have the money right now to hire, but yeah, as soon as I grow, I need to. So what is important is that you also have to ensure that people who are you hire or people who are under you also grow. Because that is very important. If there's no growth and if we are stagnant, then how it will hit you is because you will not grow. So if you have a team which has a growth mindset, I think that is more important for me. Desire to think out of the box, because this world is all about how I can think out of the box. You need to be creative. You need to be, thinking something different. Everybody is doing the same thing. So what is your punchline? How are you different? And I think that is something, like in my trainings, I've told all the schools where I'm doing training that I do it myself, because my flavor, that passion cannot come even if I train somebody, but they can come and help you in other things, So I think that uniqueness you have to maintain. And for that, you need people with a growth mindset, empowered people who you can, and you have to trust everybody who comes. I have always believed. Sometimes I've heard this statement, I must share. So when I was heading a school, some teachers came to me, Shalini ma'am, you trust people a lot. That teacher is fooling you. Because I used to say, if you want to take leave, just come and tell me you want leave. Don't tell a lie and sit at home and say, I can't come and all that. Be honest. And I've had one teacher, I hope she's watching this. She came to me and she said, I want leave. I said, for what? I want to sleep. I said, okay, fine, go. See, and she came back the next day. She said, I thought, forget it. You're so nice. I want to come back. So you have to win people over. I believe that if you are too strict, do this thing, people will respect you because of your kursi. But that is not respect. Respect is when you are not there, what they are talking about you. That is more. If a person who has worked with me as a teacher still is writing on my Facebook, and it happened yesterday, she wrote, Shalini, I'm missing you. I mean, that's my victory. I must have made a difference somewhere. Maybe at that time she didn't like me, or I'm just giving an example. But so you have to remember that you are there to make a difference. If you want to, I did a session on leadership, a difference between a boss and a leader. Leadership is not position, leadership is not power. Leadership is all about empowering and raising people up, how they can grow, giving them a roadmap for their lives. Because if they grow, you grow. So I always believe that, I always say that, I always used to say this in fun that, suppose tomorrow is my last day on this earth, how would I want people to come and talk about me, Like, should they come and say, oh, Chava, she's gone. Or should they come and say, oh, she did a good job, I really miss her. So we have to think what exactly we want people to say. And that will depend not on your knowledge, not on your PhD, degrees, whatever. It will depend only on one simple thing, how you have touched the other person as you passed along in your life. That's most important.
So, what all are do's and don'ts you would suggest to students who are just starting their career life?
Very important that they must have big dreams. I always believed, I have been a dreamer all my life. And I want to share a small incident. So when I was in school, we used to read those Barbara Cartland and Mills and Boons, those love stories. And usme hamesha gondola hota tha. And it was my dream to be sitting on a gondola. And when I joined the travel line, and my first trip was Venice, where I sat on a gondola, I really cried. So dreams do come true. So I would request children that you must dream dreams out of the ordinary, something crazy. And then you have to remember that dreams will remain dreams if they don't become goals. So you have to have goals in your life. Okay, what I want to achieve, what is it that I desire? Then once you write down your goals, you must write it down, create an action plan. How are you going to reach there? What am I going to do? I started a company and I just sit and say, oh, Bhagwan, please बढ़ा दे. ऐसे नहीं होएगा. I have to have an action plan. Once you have an action plan, put it into practice. And after 6 months, review your action plan. So if your action plan is wrong, if you've not been able to achieve, revisit the action plan, think of new strategies, but don't change the goal. Because if you are changing the goal, that means initially you had wrong goals set for your life. You must have seen some people, they keep hopping jobs, 20 jobs in 4 years. I've had some kind of resumes and I used to wonder, wow. And the person said, oh, that company was bad. I said, wow, every company is bad. What about us? So I think what is important is, what is my goal in life? Where do I want to reach? Once you have decided, write it down, create an action plan, because as per research, 100% people dream, 50% people set goals, 3% people, write down their goals, 1% people have an action plan, and only 1% people succeed in life because they have a plan that this is what I will do. If I don't achieve this, okay, this is what I will reach to. Otherwise, you're just, we don't go sit on a flight and say, kahin bhi le jao. We have to have a personal goal, a professional goal. Where exactly am I trying to reach? So unless you have a goal in your life and an action plan, my advice to children is you're going to be lost, totally.
So what would you advise to generation who want to be teacher or who want to choose teacher as their career path?
See, teaching is the most beautiful profession in this world because you are the mother of all professions. We are the ones who create doctors. When I'm teaching in a class, I don't know which child is going to become the next prime minister, who's going to be the next film star. So it is a beautiful profession. It doesn't pay well. We are not, even if it is a fact and reality. So if you are in a job for a money, then maybe this is not for it. If you are in it for a passion, if you really love kids, then only you should join it. If you don't love kids, even if you have the knowledge, please do not become a teacher because you will harm the children more than anything else. So if you have a passion, you want to make a difference in somebody's life, then become a teacher. And this is what is my sincere request to each and every person who wants to be a teacher. Join it if you love the profession. Otherwise, don't do. And then if you want to make money, then the corporate world is there. It's a big jungle. You can become so many things you can do. There are so many different careers. There are bloggers. There are, there are today RJs, VJs, whatever. There are thousands of careers now, and there'll be some emerging which I'm not even aware. But teaching is a something which you should do it from your heart. So it's not from your mind. You should think if your heart says so, then become a teacher. That's my sincere advice.
So, what are the correct steps to start your entrepreneur journey?
Sometimes it happens out of choice. Sometimes it's circumstances. What is very important if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to again plan, action plan, create a target for 5 years. Okay, in the first year, this is what I should achieve. In the second year, this is what I should achieve. Review it every week if you're not able to achieve. And your aim should be, even I feel entrepreneur, your aim should be, yes, I have to earn money. Like initially when I started my journey, naturally I have to create a brand. Maybe people in NCR know me, but people maybe in Malaysia don't know me or somewhere else doesn't know me. And I think COVID gave you an opportunity to be able to connect with people. So I started with around 50 free sessions I did so that people know me and my style. And then I shifted to the paid sessions. So your journey has to be clearly marked that how I'm going to achieve it and what will I do further to enhance the company. You have to continuously think, brainstorm every day, spend at least an hour just with yourself reflecting. And let's say there is nothing in entrepreneurship, there's nothing is predictable. In like COVID has taught us, you might have a contract today, you might lose it tomorrow. So what is important is you need to continuously keep producing things for yourself, so that your data is everything is ready. Like I can't wait for let's say I don't have a training in the month, 2 months, or I don't have any schools with me for 2 months, for example. How will I utilize this data? Either I can sit down and cry, or I can create new stuff, think of new strategy. It's very important to do research, data analysis, try and see what others are doing. How are they making a difference? Like I hear a lot of podcasts. I read a lot to understand. Because for me, my aim is that my company should be able to make a difference. Like I just did a session with one of the chain of schools, and I felt good when the teachers sent me just simple hearts. They were so happy that I was able to do that difference. So whatever you do, there should be entrepreneurship should be, especially in education, it should be more connected with the child. Am I making a difference? Please, 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 again, focus should not be money. I've always believed what my dad told me. If you do your good work, continuously hard work, money will come on its own. And we get what is required, right? God will always give us. If he's, given birth to us, he'll make sure we get what we require. When we start a thing, we go very excited. हम बेचते बहुत दिल से हैं. But उसके बाद हम, after sales is totally zero. Go back to your clients, go back to your teacher, where they are, what have they done, how are they doing, stay connected with people. I think that is what today's world is. Networking is very important. Networking with the right people.
So now we will start our rapid round.
Yeah.
Favorite actor and actress?
Shah Rukh Khan. Before that it was Rishi Kapoor, then he became too old.
And what about the actress?
वो तो competition हो गया ना, वो क्यों बोले?
Favorite color?
Black is my favorite color.
Favorite destination?
My favorite destination, what I really, really want to go is once again to Venice. Europe is my favorite destination.
Favorite car?
I don't believe in it. I can go in a cycle also. मेरे को नहीं फर्क पड़ता मारुति है या limousine है. I'm not those car person. I don't have any knowledge. I will just sit and I'll drive as long as the car is driving. That's fine for me. I don't believe in it at all.
Things in your wish list?
To have a grand inauguration ceremony of my company with Shah Rukh Khan as the chief guest.
Dream house?
Dream house, I recently saw, somebody sent to me, I think put it up on LinkedIn, a van being converted into a very 5-star-ish kind of a house. That's the kind of house I would love to have. Something out of the box. Ghar to sab khareedte hain. I mean, I don't want to be tied down. I mean, imagine staying in a van and when you're old, your kids are grown up, married and gone. You can go around, park yourself, go by the sea. And that's my dream home.
Second choice of career?
I would love to help people. And if I was not a teacher, probably I like to influence people because I know I can do it.
One change that you would like to do if you are provided superpower?
I would like to change the education system.
At last, one line that defines you?
Happy, positive, helpful.
Thank you very much for your time, and it was pleasure listening to your journey of life and the challenges you have faced. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. All the best. God bless you. Thank you. Bye bye.